Our Stocks to Watch episode is where we try to identify stocks that we believe will have an interesting quarter, interesting year. And it's usually a conversation between myself and maybe a guest or two. And we'll just talk about the market, right? So we'll talk about the things that we're interested in, talk about the opportunities that we see, talk about some things that may impact our ability to invest in the way that we want to, and generally anything that may be relevant for that period, right? So this is going to be a great episode. If it's your first time here, welcome. We'll get into the intro, some housekeeping, and then I'll get right into the episode.
Learning is the key to successful investing, and who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at Learn Grow Invest.
All right, awesome. So the very first thing I'm going to do, since this is our Stocks to Watch episode, I'm actually going to be sharing a link in the chat, and I want you all to tell me what's on your watch list for 2024. So I'm going to share my screen now. These are the companies that our community has been voting on so far. So these are the companies that you as a community are interested in. So I'm going to share that link with you now. And be sure to tell us which ones you're watching. Feel free to tell us in the chat why you're watching them. And then we'll kind of track. I'll save the results to see, how things kind of progress throughout the year. And then I think it should make for some interesting conversation, right? So I just shared the link in the chat. I'll share it in the description afterwards. Feel free to share your thoughts in terms of the stocks that you're watching, and just, feel free to participate. Another thing that I wanted to do now is introduce our upcoming series called Market Money. It's going to be a weekly show, and what we're going to try to do is take the best of our contents, our stock reviews that our community loves, our financial education series where we may cover certain tutorials, and our regular interviews that we do. We're going to put it into a weekly show. We've seen where there are opportunities to maybe get some sound bites, some short clips from the CEOs that we usually conversate with. And so we're going to put those into the episodes as well. So something that I'm looking forward to, and I hope you will be joining me each week for that episode. Next, I want to invite you to join us for our 12-month investment challenge. Those of you who have signed up for the 5-day challenge, about 300 persons signed up, and we want you to join us for the 12-month challenge. So we have monthly challenges that we're going to complete. You have access to exclusive content in terms of live sessions that we'll have each month. And then, of course, anything that you need to invest in terms of resources, all of that material we're going to share with you in our challenge membership, right? So be sure to join us and ask in the comments if you have any questions. Final thing is that the challenge is going to be hosted on our L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest Academy. That's how we are able to access the challenges and the videos. So we've completely set it up so that everything is contained with our academy. So you don't have to do anything but sign up once, and then you're good to go throughout the year. All right. Before I get into the episode and before I bring on our guest, I have to say, since this is an episode about stocks, that the information that we review here is going to be for discussion, education, entertainment, and illustrative purposes only, and should not be construed as professional financial advice, solicitation, or recommendation to buy or sell any securities that we mention. And this is just going to be an open discussion between myself and our guests, right? So while I'm introducing our guests, I'll ask you what's on your watch list for 2024. Let me know in the chat. And if you're watching this on a replay, let me know in the comments below. All right, so please join me in welcoming Simon Johnson from Stocks on the Rocks. Simon, welcome.
Hi, Jermaine. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I hope to have a very good discussion with the LGI community tonight.
Yep. I think it'll be a good one. I've always thought you're perspective on the market is interesting. The way you approach the opportunities that you see, just the conversations I've seen you have on Twitter in different groups, etc. So I think this will make for an interesting, discussion. So what would like to start with, if it makes sense for you, is just to help persons understand how uncomplicated it may be to select stocks for your portfolio, right? So we're talking about a watch list, but how do you typically look at the market? How do you look at investing, and what's your perspective on how persons can approach that side of things?
Yeah, so the market can be as easy as you want or as complex as you want. Uh, at the end of the day, when you're looking for securities to buy or stocks to buy, you're looking to buy low and sell high. So you're looking for something in a stock that will cause the price to go up over the time period that you have. Now, when I say as simple as possible, it can just be, you expect that this news and people react to this news positively when they get around to it at a certain point. It could be that you expect a company to perform better because Grace Kennedy is going to produce more Grace mackerel in the next quarter than they've ever done before, and Wisynco is going to produce more water than they've ever done before. So it really comes down to that. A very important part of the market is also understanding the psychology of the people that form it. Now, the market itself is a combination of hundreds, hundreds and hundreds of different people, thousands actually, looking to make buy or sell decisions. When somebody's buying, somebody's selling, right? So if you better understand the motivations behind why people buy or sell at a certain time, then you immediately have an advantage. A good way to keep track of this is to be a part of a community like Learn, Grow, Invest, where you have different people with different opinions coming together to speak about something, to agree, to disagree, etc. So that's that's how I start after that.
All right, cool. So for me, it's I focus a lot on my understanding of the company, right? Because I think with investing, and I try to have as concentrated, for lack of a better term, a portfolio as possible. And for me, that really means 10 or less, right? So what that means is that I
Mm,
can't look at every single opportunity. And because I can't look at every single opportunity, I try to narrow that down, right? So are there industries that I think will do well in this particular climate? Are there companies that look to have good opportunities in terms of growth for their profits? Are there companies that may have a good narrative, right? Because we know that
mm,
there's a side of the market that focuses on the story of the company, the sentiment of the company, and so if you have multiple companies performing well in terms of financial performance, it doesn't mean they'll all perform well in terms of their stock price. And so there are things that I'll look at to say, well, there are elements that I think that may work well together, including the environment, including the interest rates, including the outlook, to say, well, this may present an opportunity for me within the period that I'm investing in. Now, if it's a shorter term, then it's going to really be like as many things as I can find that can work in that short term to boost that performance. If it's
mm,
longer term, then I'm just looking at a solid company that you may think will be around 100 years from now, right? A very popular company for me that everybody knows me to talk about. One such company is TransJamaica, right? I've been talking about that company for the last couple of years. It's a very simple company to understand, right? It's a company that you expect that has the ability, for example, to raise rates each year, has the ability to possibly get ownership of other highways to increase their income. And it's as the car sales continue to increase, it bodes well that more people will drive. So those are three simple things that for me I'd be looking at to say, well, this may be a stock to watch. And just because it's on my watch list doesn't mean I'm gonna buy it. It may mean that I may look at it for a season and then I may say, well, this may present an opportunity for me, and then I may, do something from there, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I look at it as well. I don't think of it as complicated or complex really, because I think it's important to watch how the company is performing, because you want to minimize your risk of loss. So if it's a sound company and then all those other elements are working, then I think that gives me a good chance to make a return on my investment. For the ones that are a lot less sound, I won't call it the name, you're really now taking a risk that me personally I'm not comfortable with. Now there are companies that may do well on nothing else but one one pa- one particular thing or two, and I think to each his own. As long as you understand the risk you're taking, then that's where I say, you want to be careful, because we've seen companies try to make it on things that aren't built on solid ground, as I'd probably say. And so I think as an investor, especially if you're not as experienced, you want to be cautious, but still understand that you can't make money without some form of risk. So hopefully that kind of
Yeah.
helps. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, and I think that's good clarification. That's a good, I guess, context, Jermaine, because what I also want to add is when I see stocks to watch, and I used to talk about stocks a lot more on Twitter. I've stopped doing that. Partly because I'm really not into equities anymore. I've long gone into alternative investments. But a part of that is I did start to realize the influence that people have placed on me on Twitter, and as such, I became a bit more careful
yeah,
with what I say and what people may. I mean, people message me used to message me and say, "Boy, Simon, thank you for the recommendation." I'm like, which recommend? Oh yeah, man. Remember when you were talking about Hunbun? They said, look, just making it clear that I never told you to buy that particular stock or that particular stock. But when I look at stocks to watch, I always tell people I don't. Probably a long time ago, but I don't look at. Let's say, okay, this stock. I'm going to look at this over a 1 year period, for example. I can look at something at a bit longer term, but I still do my regular assessments. And if something changes, then I've become a lot more dispassionate, as I say, with how I sell that stock. So I'll sell, take a loss, move into something else. If there is a loss, sell, take a gain, move into something else. As long as something changes that may impair where I'd expected the stock to go.
yeah. So I wanted to just kind of comment on what Lenworth raised in the chat, because I think it's very important to understand why we started with the disclaimer. So Lenworth is saying, why you financial professionals operate with such caution. And I think Orville tried to, explain it for us, but I'll just say for us and our community, and Simon may be similar, but of course he can confirm, we're doing what we're doing here, especially for conversation, discussion, and education, meaning there's a process that we think may benefit others in how they make their own investments. But we have to be clear that we're not telling you to do exactly what we're doing, and also the law requires it. So it's not a case where we want you to, that same example that Simon used in saying I bought this because you said XYZ. That's going to be important, because there are persons who may do that, and people don't complain if they make a profit, but they may complain if they make a loss, and then that's where that may come in to shield us from something that may cause us unnecessary grief, right?
Yeah,
So I see a
yeah.
question from Matthew that may be for you, Simon. But yeah, any thoughts you want to say to Lenore's comment before we continue?
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe I can consider myself. I'm still a financial professional, even though I'm in something else.
Yeah,
Um, but my understanding of the securities industry here, as Jermaine mentioned, is that you have to be a licensed advisor to give recommendations That's through the FSC. But even if you're a licensed advisor, you still have to be careful, because even when I was licensed, you still have to be careful who you talk to, because I may talk to Jermaine today, and based on Jermaine's situation, TransJamaica fits his personal portfolio and what he wants. I may talk to Theon, and Theon may be more suited towards a Barita or NCB based on his personal portfolio and his needs. So it does change based on who you're talking to, their own individual circumstances, the returns, their ability and their willingness to take risk, and so many other factors. So it's not as easy as, oh guys, I think you all should buy one trade student living. By the way, that's an example. I don't want anybody to snip that and say Simon said that. So for example, I think you all should buy one trade student living, and everybody will go buy one trade student living, and it runs up, and then some people get stuck in it. The people that benefit are going to say, hey, Simon is great. The people that don't benefit are going to say, boy, Jermaine, I heard on your program and I'm down 50%, for example.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So, I mean, just to get that out the way, so yeah, I think we can start now.
Mm.
Simon, you're our guest, so I'll let you go first. So which company is up first for you, Simon?
Yeah, so for this one, Jermaine, as I told you, and I think I tweeted it as well, I was staying away from the junior market. I kind of got a hint of what you wanted to talk about, so I didn't want to talk about some of the same things, because I see that we were looking at some of the same things.
Yeah.
The main market interested me because I haven't looked at it in depth for a long time. I operate a lot in the junior market. I do my trading, or my general investments on the junior market side. I may come over the main market side at some points from time to time. So the first one I want to look at, and this is one, as I said, just to contextualize what watch means. Watch means I'm looking at this company, and I am expecting the management, the executives, the board to use what I'm seeing or the possibilities that may exist to grow the company. And the first one is Wisynco. If anybody has heard me talk, at SOTR live at Palisados, or anywhere, you would have heard me speak, about Wisynco. And to be fair, I'd say Wisynco is an excellent company, Jermaine. If you look at the financials, the income statement, the balance sheet, I believe they have about $9 billion in cash, or cash-like investments, and very little debt relatively. They have they're very large. I believe they have a very good stake in the local distribution space, and clearly they're one of the leaders as it pertains to water, juices, and distribution of various other types of juices, and even cold beverages. So that's there. However, I've started to hear, over, it's not really over the past couple months, but probably over the past couple quarters, where the executives of the company have been speaking up more about going into this last phase, this build out, and the expectation to double production capacity this year by adding additional lines at the factory. I believe they expanded their factory in Lake I want to say, significantly, over the last few quarters. So as I look at this, and I'm looking at that $9 billion in cash, I'm saying, Wisynco, you've been talking about mergers and acquisitions, for a while. You've been talking about going into the export market, for a while. To my knowledge, like, the percentage of their sales that goes to exports is single digits. You've been speaking about expanding that and growing that part of the business. My understanding is that as they produce and ramp up production, the local market absorbs it. So it's not necessarily that they don't want to export and build on that, but they're trying to increase production capacity to a certain level in order to take advantage of that significantly. So I want to see them do more. That's from the company side. Stock is a bit different. So if you look at the Wisynco stock, Germany, if you can put back up the chart, you realize that the price is not there. It's this. Oh yeah, thanks. So you realize that the price, I would say, moves with some level of predictability, right? It goes down to a certain level, it gets support, and it goes back up to a certain level. And it meets resistance, usually at about 21, 22. The peaks have changed over time, usually met resistance around 19, 20. That's move up to 20, 21, 21, 22 in the most two recent peaks. If you look at the volumes as well, and I always encourage people to look at the volumes, you would see the volumes spike at particular times when this is moving, and then the price comes back down. So for the traders out there, and we've spoken about this at SOTR. No, I know people that go in, set their order, they purchase when it meets that support point, when it falls back to 17, 18, 19 eventually, and then they set their sell order up at 21, 20, 22. So that the price is separate from the company because the price hasn't necessarily tracked since listing a couple of years ago the direct growth in the fundamentals or the financials for the company, right? It has really lingered in the teens mostly. I believe, Jeremy, and I don't know if off the top of my head, the Wisynco listed at, oh,
787, I think 787.
yes, seven, some weird price, not like a whole number price, right?
Yeah, man, $7.87.
Yeah, man. So that's my general thesis on Wisynco, that I am looking at Wisynco as a group, well, as a company here. They have a Wisynco Caribbean group, but as a company here, a listed company. And I want to see more from the business side, but I also want to see them place at least some focus on the share price. And if they're going to place at least some focus on the share price, it could be paying back out some of that cash in dividends, in higher dividends, because they do have the cash. But again, there's dividend tax, so that's not the most tax efficient way for the necessary families to get the income from the company. Um, I would say, and I'll throw it out there, Jeremy, and tell me what you think. I think from a price perspective, Wisynco, I'm pretty sure I've said this before, but Wisynco should consider splitting the stock. What do you think about that?
Um, I mean, interesting concept. I usually look at a stock split for a company that would have. So what Limitless just said is what I was thinking for them, and I thought you were going to mention a share buyback because of all the cash that they have. So I haven't necessarily thought about a stock split for them, but I thought with the cash that they've been saving and not doing anything with, then a share buyback would still be able to add value to existing shareholders. A stock split would be interesting. I mean, I don't I don't know if that would improve things more than the
Improve
short
things,
term dividend though.
improve things sustainably.
Yeah.
That's actually a very good point, Jermaine. What we've realized as well is um, stock splits, sorry, aren't always a good idea, and I'll tell you why. So it's great on the announcement for the traders, and actually have some data coming up on this one, but not yet. It's great on the announcement for the traders because you can um, trade it on the news. It goes up, you sell it back, it comes down. But if we look at stocks that have done the split over time, they have met upon some. I want to define it as some kind of share price fatigue. So the share price has either come down and settled, or has continued to come down even further and settle. But there's some form of settlement after after that initial, announcement and the actual split itself. Um, so let's just say the stock split effect. I don't know whatever effect you want to call it, but I actually have some data that I'm going to pull for this and a couple other things just to show what we've been seeing anecdotally in it. So which is why I usually tell people, if you miss the news and you fall into FOMO and that price is hitting the breaker, 1 day, 2 day, if you miss the trade, if you go into that trade, you are probably going to be buying that at a peak or somewhere close to the peak. But yeah, I'll think about the buyback
Yeah.
is a good option. I guess my only thing with that is, I think, based on even what they've said, that if they were to use the cash and do some form of value additive M&A, more than likely an acquisition,
Yeah.
um, regionally as well. Remember, it's not just Jamaica. Wisynco is very large in Jamaica, but Wisynco is a very good brand
Global
regionally.
brand. Mm.
Yeah. So regionally as well, maybe in the UK, North America, if they can find an acquisition to expand and stretch their muscles there with the
Yeah.
cash, I'd probably prefer that over the buyback from a sustainable perspective in terms of the
Yeah.
price.
So I think I don't know if they would if it has to be buyback or split. I'd say they don't even need to do anything, because I think Wisynco is a company that I've liked for a while, but I of course weigh the decision based on, of course, how the market is valuing a particular company. And I
Mm.
think this is one of those companies that, because if you think back to before 2020, Wisynco was high 20s. It had a run, maybe I think year and a half ago, where it seemed like it was going back to 30, and then again that was short-lived. Same thing that you were talking about. So I think, to me, those I don't know if a stock split effect is the right way to look at it, because everything is kind of skewed by the last couple of years anyway, I think. But I think, all things being equal, Wisynco is a company that is of great value, and if they literally do nothing, they will still be in a good position. But I do think I mean, maybe the best value for money might be just, acquisition, as you say. So, um,
Yeah,
so
Mr. Mahfood, Mr. Mahfood may say that the acquisition is easier said than done because they don't want to just acquire. I mean, they have the cash,
yeah,
but they want an acquisition that will. And I'm not speaking on their behalf. I haven't spoken to them. They are probably looking for an acquisition that will make some form of impact. But I want to see more from them this year, so I'm watching it. This doesn't necessarily mean that I'm buying it, by the way.
yeah, man, get you. So, all right, I'll go next. For me, it's really so this company, my first watch list, my first stock to watch would be Tropical Battery, and I'm looking at just a sort of, I feel like they've been kind of leading up to some things, just to the last set of interviews we've had with Alexander Melville, a few earnings calls we've done with him. There seems to be some things that were supposed to come on stream but were delayed. So I kind of feel like, how most companies kind of have this situation where some things
Mm.
they're working on took longer than expected, but they're still working on it, right? I remember just yesterday on Taking Stock, David Mullings was talking with Kalila, and he was saying they've been working on some things for a while. So I think with Tropical, and I know it was a group favorite for a little while, um, they're leading up to something, right? With their the things that they've been mentioning in terms of investment, in terms of whether it be on the company side, the team capacity, locations that they may be working on, their opportunities overseas. Like, I just feel like they're in the space that I don't necessarily look at them as the same as like a Wigton or even an IEC group that has essentially Siboney. But I think they're in that same space where there are opportunities for maybe services that they can provide to the market, to the region. And I think that I like companies that are unique in terms of being one of its kind on the market. And Tropical is one such company, right? Which sometimes can be good and bad, because when you don't have a company to compare it to, you don't always know necessarily how to treat with that company. But it's, as you can see on the chart, they're down actually 13% in the last year. And they've actually, when I was preparing this slide, I saw we're starting December, it went from about $1.70 up to almost $2.30. And for the last year, they've been up as high as about $2.60, right? So as I said, it just kind of feels like they have some potential opportunities. I do think in the merger and acquisition space as well. That was one of the things we asked Alexander in the earnings call that we had with him, that I think they did for their Q2 last year. And so I think that since we haven't heard anything about that, we may hear something about that in this year. It really depends on how they're able to, I guess, work on those things. But I just think they may be positioning to have an interesting year. And it really, comes down to how, I guess, things may come together. Actually hoping to be able to, speak to Alexander soon to see what they may be up to for the year. But, that's for now my first stock to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I like Tropical, and I'm gonna try to hide my bias because when I move to my next stock, I'm gonna explain kind of why. I mean, the thesis there is obvious as it pertains to renewable energy. The government has spoken about it a lot, about moving more of the grid over to renewable energy, etc. About their intentions re electric vehicles, and of course electric vehicles have batteries, and of course when you're moving to solar, wind, whatever type of renewable energy on the grid, um, when you're talking about retail in terms of people's houses, some people opt for batteries to store that energy. For the larger companies, they'll
Yeah.
opt for larger batteries to store even more energy. So my thesis around Tropical is probably a bit more than a year or 2 years or 3 years or four. I don't exactly know, when, they're going to hit that six, and, everything is going to start moving in terms of their quarterly numbers as it was a couple quarters ago when the price started to run.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that if if I'm looking at an industry overall and looking at companies that I believe have some form of competitive or comparative advantage in the renewables energy space,
Yeah.
which we know has to grow. I think there is even some form of mandate to have that grow, not just in Jamaica, but regionally and
Yeah.
internationally as well. Then Tropical is one of the companies that I place in that category to benefit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I look at them as a company for with potential. That's a limitless saying larger projects are bypassing Tropical. I see solar farms that are at our airports and they use Huawei. So I think that I think that there may be enough projects in the pipeline. Who knows? Because I think it seems to me, and this is what I kind of see for these kind of things, where sometimes things are being worked on, there are opportunities there, but they maybe take a while to come on stream. So um, again, I don't rule it out for them. It's just maybe to see. And as I said, they do seem like, at least the last call that we had, there was at least a conversation or a discussion around some form of opportunity internationally, that may still work out. So Limitless is saying, I think Tropical needs to have a strong partnership with a lithium-ion battery distributor to help supply larger projects. Okay. Okay. All right. So Limitless, what do you mean when you're saying you're disappointed with Innovate? What specifically are you disappointed with? Isn't Fosterich the distributor for Huawei? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Michael. Maybe somebody else can answer that. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, again, as we said before, stock to watch just means that we're keeping an eye on it, right? So let's see where things go for them. All right, Simon, you're up next. What's your next one?
Sorry, yeah, as it pertains to Huawei, or solar, I believe I did see something about Fosterich distributing
But does
Huawei.
Huawei have like multiple different brands on it? Because I mean, what is it? Is it Huawei in terms of, to me, they manufacture multiple things. I may not be clear on that, but
Oh yeah, yeah. That's I said Huawei in terms of the solar
oh, okay.
aspect of it. The phones is somebody else. So yeah, like the phone.
Exactly. I think that's what I was thinking. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And I just want to state here, of course, guys, and I, I don't want to speak for Jermaine as well. What we're doing here is just facilitating a discussion around these stocks. And Jermaine, I have to repeat this, multiple times, because I've stated a stock here doesn't necessarily mean that I'm buying or not buying it. Also, I don't share all information that I have. A particular stock. I tell people you have to do the work. Come to SOTR. Come down a Palisadoes physically, and let's talk about it face to face, right? My next one, I said I was going to go into the renewable energy one. So there is a stock that I like more than this one. It's on the junior market. No, it's on the
All
main
right,
market. No,
there
no,
you go. There you go.
on the main market. But I didn't choose it because I know likely Jermaine would have chosen that. I think Jermaine chose it. So
Yes.
I went with the other alternative, right? So I've actually been watching Wigton, um, seeing the price move to back to the high 80 cents.
Still
From
not all-time high though, but
yeah,
progress.
not the all-time high as yet. Where's the all-time high again? Something
I
over
think it's
one.
a little bit over a dollar. I think like $1.15 or something like that. I think.
Yeah, my overall thesis around Wigton is very similar to what I said with Tropical. When I
Ah,
see Wigton, and they will probably have to change that logo soon. When I see Wigton, I don't see a wind farm company anymore. I see a company that is currently and can become an even greater player within the renewables energy sector. They've been getting solar contracts, large ones. The most recent one, Montego Bay Airport, I believe that's for over about $1 billion US, little over, sorry, Jamaican dollars, little over 7 million US dollars, right? So I'm seeing them as not ditching wind production, but diversifying the renewable energy portfolio that they have and going more into solar, particularly within I would say Wicton is more likely to do the larger products, the larger projects, as it pertains to manufacturing companies. Let's say, for example, Wisynco wants to switch out an entire factory with photovoltaic. Um, and then I see IEG or IEC
yeah.
assisting with some of those projects, which they've actually already started doing. The IEG, IEC has stuck on me. I know it's IEG, I know the company is the group that's coming through Siboney, but the IEC has just stuck on me. So let's see what Nigel and the guys decide when that happens. So yes, so a few things with Wigton. So I just explained my general thing. The general
Yeah.
thing is renewable energy. I see them moving beyond wind farms and moving into different energy products across the renewable energy space. I see them having the opportunity to bid for contracts, and maybe they've done that before, bid for contracts outside of Jamaica and within the region, and to actually be competitive in those processes, given their experience over the years. Two, there was an announcement of a reduction in their income tax. Sorry guys, I've been working the whole day, so kind of stuttering.
You're good,
So
man. You're good. You're good.
yeah, man. So there's been a reduction in their income tax from 33 and 1/3% to 25% that was announced last year. I know that there was an RFP last year for about 100 megawatts of energy. I'm trying to remember. I was trying to find exactly where I saw that. I couldn't quite remember the name. It's some GEP or GPE or something like that, right? I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it in time. Sorry, Jermaine.
Well,
The,
that's
the yeah, the development of their land at Ferry to put a facility there. Flash Holdings. I I was more positive on Flash before, when Flash was trying to go into electric vehicles, and they had started with a brand, and then I saw that the brand moved to someone else, and so I'm not exactly sure where that is. So those are my general points as it pertains to Wigton. But the truth is, since I've started looking at this, the price has actually already started to move. So
so.
two,
So does
two
that
days.
mean it's remaining on your watch list, or
You
you
know,
know?
I'll continue to watch it. I'll leave it at that. I'll continue to watch it.
So just some information. I've tried to organize an interview with Flash. Was organized it from trying to organize from about August of last year. I've not been able to successfully land that time to meet with them. And I mean, I can just go into right my next pick, which is actually Siboney, right? A company that I never thought that I'd have as a stock to watch
Really?
until
Why?
no,
Why?
because of where it was before, of
We've
where it was
spoken
before.
about this many times. That's
We
why
have, we
I'm
have, we
smiling,
have, we have. So
Privately, just for everybody.
yeah, man, yeah, man. So I mean, I think now it makes sense, right? Where I've actually went to the AGM in person for them, and heard the new direction, heard the opportunities, was able to interview Nigel and Wayne directly. Actually, need to air that interview. So apologies, everyone, because it's about a month old, but it's actually still relevant. Because when I went through it today in preparation for this, I thought it's still some good information that shows where they're headed. Now, I've actually seen some articles that support, because I actually shared the interview with some persons in media so that they were able to write articles and stuff like that. So the information is out there, but I think the interview is still useful. And the vision that was painted for me is a complete kind of push and drive to make a mark in the space. And I think with the relationships they seem to have, with the needs that they will have, because there were talks about fundraising, there were talks about different kind of things that they will need. And so I mean, it's just that same thing I mentioned earlier about the narrative of a company. I think all those things will kind of combine into one for just a great opportunity for them, right? So it's interesting to see how people will react, because of course there's this, and we saw it a little bit where some persons were still viewing MFS as SSLVC, if that makes sense. Like there are some people even after that 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 um that that transaction went forward, people were still kind of looking, at it the same. Um, so yeah. So the thing is, the interview, and I see Limitless asking about it. The interview is going to be loaded in our first, Market Money episode. That's next week. So you can, like, I've edited it. It's ready to go. So you'll see that next week. But yeah, I think they'll have an interesting period. Now, I do think that the moves for them, or where things will start to translate in terms of the results, etc., by my understanding, maybe Q2, Q3. But still, I think with some things that are projected, they should have an interesting year. Now, I'm not a shareholder. I don't know if I'll become a shareholder at a later date, but I just think that's one of the companies that I'm expecting to maybe be talking about a lot throughout the year, right? So that's it. I can't look at their financials or anything because that would be irrelevant. So it's really about just this new phase for the company, and what I think they'll be able to do in terms of just actually just having something worthy of, actually us talking about here on our channel. So Devon, they did mention having to fundraise, and Nigel spoke about different options. So as most companies will probably say, closer to when they're ready for it is when they'll decide. So it sounded to me, and you'll see in the interview when it's released, they mentioned many options: bond, APO, maybe debt, many things. So it sounded to me, or whenever a company says that, it means they have not decided. All right, that's what that sounds like to me. So, but the AGM, I think it sounded like it was an APO, but I don't think that they've made that decision yet. All right.
I don't know why I thought they were strongly leaning towards an APO. I don't know why.
Well, I guess it's how you interpret it. When I heard it, it sounded to me like it hadn't been decided, or they're not there yet, right? But
Well,
we'll
I
see.
mean, I've invited Nigel and his team to a SOTR day after tomorrow, so I'll follow up with him, and let's see how that goes. In the SOTR setting, without the recording and the media,
Exactly.
may have a different discussion.
Yeah. Yep.
Jermaine, do you think Siboney will stay on the main market or go to the junior market?
Interesting. I've never has companies gone the other way.
I
I've
think
known companies.
if
Mhm.
if they are below, so I was thinking about it for the team. If they are below the limit, because remember the reverse merger that they did was into a main market company.
Yeah.
You can't just choose a company to do a reverse market merger in. The shell has to be there. The shell was just on the main market. I think they could have an argument to say, look, we are below this capital limit. We are really a junior market company. This is a new listing,
Oh, so
right?
that we can
So,
benefit from the tax break.
yeah. So send us to the junior market. But to me, that depends on how large IEG is. When I see, these articles, which are a bit obscure because they say things, but they don't say things at the same time,
Yeah.
then I don't necessarily know how large IEG is. It could be that they stay on the main market because they're definitely larger than the cap limit of 500 million, which may or may not change sometime soon. Um, and then use the opportunity being on the main market to raise an even larger amount of funds that they couldn't raise or they've been limited by.
It sounds like they need a lot of capital to me, Simon. Just from the
Yes.
conversations I've had, from the
Yeah.
AGM, from other things that I've heard. And because of the maturity of energy projects, they
Yeah.
require a lot of capital. So I
Yeah.
don't. I think they're gonna have to raise a lot of money, and so I don't think they would need to go at all. I don't know how much you're planning to raise right off the bat, but we'll see. But it's unlikely to me, but anything can happen, right?
Yeah. So I think it's probably more likely that they stay. I haven't spoken to Nigel at all about this. So
Mhm.
hopefully, if he shows up Friday, I'll have a more detailed,
And
a much more
it,
detailed conversation with him.
he's a very, very easy person to talk to. I like how at least he was seemingly very straightforward with me in our conversation, very willing to talk
That's
as
good.
well. So yeah,
Question though,
mhm.
IEC has IEG, IEC, whatever, SPV, whatever. Through Nigel has a relationship with Wigton. Um, through not just the projects that they do, but Nigel has a relationship with Wigton himself, I believe, on the board, right? Did he mention how? I promise you, Jermaine, I'm not interviewing you. I'm
No,
just
but it's fine. It's
asking.
fine.
Did he mention how that relationship will be going forward? Because I
Mm,
see IEG possibly tagging on to Wigton's larger projects and bids, either going at it individually or together where it's beneficial.
So I didn't ask that specifically. So I did two interviews. I interviewed Nigel and I interviewed Ray. I think I asked Wayne about partnerships, but
Hmm.
not any specific partnership. So that sounds like an interesting question to ask. Um, but I do plan to invite them to a market money segment as soon as I think more news come out. Because it was my first time meeting them, I didn't want to necessarily overwhelm them with questions. So um, yeah, but I did. I think most people are making that connection as well to see potential opportunities. And I know Wayne speaks highly of the importance of partnerships and what that will do for them, etc. So
Yeah. I think it's there as well, but I will say though that from the announcement was made about who would be purchasing Siboney and eventually doing the reverse merger. I did my googling of IEC. Like there's kind of a roadmap now to the reverse mergers because it's been done a few times.
yeah.
So the possibilities have been there, and certainly there are a few things left on that list that they will need to do, such as officially changing over the name, which I think they resolved to do in
Yeah,
March.
man, at the AGM, that was one thing.
Officially changing the ticker, and I don't know how that will change sentiment. Oh, this is not CBNY anymore; it's
Yeah.
IEG, etc.
And
Um,
they've been saying it's the new Siboney. So they want to ensure that people don't associate them with a company that many people have not understood for many years.
yeah, I wouldn't even say it's a new Siboney at all. I would even mention Siboney after the name is changed. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely, looking forward to that. Yes, you said next one for me.
Next one, yeah, man. Next.
All right. So the next one for me is one that I've liked for a while. I'm stating my bias here because I was involved in the IPO,
Oh,
which at
interesting.
that
Interesting.
point was the largest IPO in modern
Isn't it
history.
still?
Raised. I need to run the math on that. It's probably, yeah, probably. Um, but also I was also involved in the structuring behind the scenes when I was at a previous organization, and that's TransJamaica. Anybody that has spoken to me over the past many years knows what I've thought about TransJamaica, even when it was languishing at 150. You remember that, Jeremy? And it seems like a whole.
Oh, I remember. I remember because we did a Stocks to Watch 2021.
Mm.
And that was the first time I mentioned Trans Jamaica where it was about 120.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was languishing for a while because it felt like it didn't do anything for like a year. So
Oh, you know. So, Jermaine, as you know, I like the data on the charts and things like that. And there are
yeah.
a few ideas that I have. One of them is I have a thesis. The guys in the chat can tell me what they think. Jermaine, tell me what they think. The volume movements no, you can go back on the price chart.
Go back? Okay.
Yeah, the price chart. The volume movements can predict in some way, along with your read of the sentiment where a price will go. Does anybody realize what happened in that inflection point when they moved from about 140 and started to run over the next couple months? What is that one thing that you're seeing? I want you to say it in the comments. Jeremy, I see you pointing at it. There was a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, man, go ahead, because I was gonna say I'm trying to remember what would have happened at that point.
Well, I'm not even talking about an event here. I'm talking about just pure price volume, right?
Oh,
So pure technical analysis without the events. There was a sharp increase in volume there, and if we could pull back this graph historically and go further back, you'll realize that the the volume that ran it from 140, that region, up to, I would say, probably about 270, 275 until it came back down to 250. That volume has been more than it was historically, over that period of time. Oh, I see you have it here.
yeah, man.
Right? So you realize that there's been some form of notable shift, and you guys can see it now. So I kind of giving you guys an insight as to how I look at these graphs. Of course, I usually put out, oh, I see this graph as tools for technical analysis. So if you look further back to even April 2021, closer to when you would have done that last Stocks to Watch episode, Jermaine, you'll realize that the volume fell off in 2021 and was very low almost all of 2021 when it was stuck between that range bound price.
Yeah.
You realize in April 2022, as the price picked up, the volume picked up, whichever one came first. But
Yeah.
you realize every time the price moves, so shift over back to the right now, April 2023. By
That's
the way,
interesting, though. I never noticed that.
yes, and by the way, are you guys realizing that the volume spike closer or in and around the April period, right? If you realize in April 2023, the last inflection was April 2022. April 2023, when it settled back, the price then shot up, and the volume increased. I'm willing to bet that the average daily volume also
Yeah, but you
increased
can see it. You
over
can
that
see
period.
it.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
that's kind of how I tell people that I like to get to the party early, set up the box, help the waitress them spread the table, have the opportunity to choose wherever I sit, and getting to the party early means that you're looking at this, and even from April 2022, when the volume started to pick up, you say, wait, but what's happening here? I think also what happened is I'm gonna try to find the date here when they announced that they were doing the acquisition of JIO, which is the operating company. Um, that would have had an impact on the price as well. Give me a sec. I'm gonna try to find when that was actually announced. It was late 2022,
All right, no problem.
coming into 2023.
I've not much to say that I haven't already said about Trans Jamaica.
Don't want people to say Jeremy, fully in love with TJ.
I think that's well documented. I think just for the simple reason we did an interview with Ivan, I think November of last year. Very great interview. Check that out. They have some great plans for this year. One of the things we spoke about was the dividend, right? So they're potentially looking at doing two dividend payouts instead of one.
Mm,
They're looking to implement some technology which will help with how transactions are processed. There's a new development that they are working on getting an agreement to service. We know about the Williamsfield option as well that is waiting to be announced. Like there are just so many things that are there. They're not on my watch list, but I mean, as you made that analogy, I've been set up a long time, so I'm ready for anything that may or may not happen. And I agree here, right? Sean is saying it's a no-brainer type of stock, recession proof and dividend yield and all of that stuff. I mean, it's just it's a very simple understanding, right? It's infrastructure. It's infrastructure that is critical, and I think that with the way that they're seeking to be more efficient, there are opportunities to manage their revenues by essentially being able to continue to adapt the rate based on exchange rates. Like there's so many things that are just favorable for it. And of course, the prospectus state that the dividend yield should be increasing. Of course,
Yeah, I mean, it was
your
a
personal
well structured
based on
deal.
price. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You know, it was structured to actually produce based on the current highways alone, so not
Yeah.
including the upcoming concession with
Yeah.
Mandeville. But how it was structured is that as the principal of the debt is paid down, and over time as more cash is freed up, and GIO wasn't acquiring, that wasn't even in the base case projections there, is that the dividend yield would increase, I would say, relatively exponentially over time, on a standalone basis. We know I call it the belt initiative. I don't know if the government has a name for it, but their idea is to wrap the country with a main art with a main thoroughfare, and then have arteries coming off that main road. Um, so I see them also doing Montego Bay, and possibly going into other types of infrastructure projects as well. So that's one that's a no-brainer for me. I would say my only consideration here, Jermaine, is of course we want to buy things at the best price.
Yes.
So
Yes.
when this moves from 140 at 150 at to $3, you have to ask yourself, is this the best price? So I went on Mayberry's website and I pulled the relative valuation metrics. So I pulled the PB, the PE. They have a dividend yield of 13.8%, which is wow. I didn't even calculate it before. That's very good. But from a price to book and a price to earnings measure, it may tell you that the stock is overvalued. I've said this before at listing, is that TransJamaica, one, it has no relative valuation. You can't compare it with China Harbor, for example, because China Harbor is not listed. The operator, the North South Highway, is not listed, right? So you have to kind of use whichever, whether you're a company or a person, use the yield that you can get from that stock. So whether it's the dividend yield plus whatever cap gains you can get from that, and estimate as to what the benefit will be.
Yeah. Um. I mean, I think somebody was asking if you think their debt is a concern.
No, well, for context, the highways are built with some form of debt. So that is, I would say, a part of the model of the agreement and how the company is run. The most important thing is their servicing of the debt, and they service the debt through tolls, right? So when you're doing your assessment of whether the debt is good or bad or whatever, you have to look on their ability to service those interest payments. I believe they even have reserved the cash on their balance sheet, to account for certain requirements from the debt.
Okay. All right. So unfortunately, we're actually over time for this segment. Do you have any questions for Simon, guys? I don't know when I'll be able to get him on the show again. I know he'll always say check him at SOTR last Fridays of every month. So Simon, I don't know if you want to kind of invite persons to that now, and any
Yeah,
closing and remarks that you have.
yeah, sure. Guys, SOTR is this Friday. It's our first SOTR for the month. I've invited, as usual, a couple CEOs. We'll have retail people here. It's a great place to come and network, but not just network, but kind of understand or a better understanding of what others are thinking about the market, about a particular stock, etc. So you can gauge where you are. Sean, on the deck, you can message me about that. We're over time, but I can give you some more color about that. So, I'm available on Telegram or Instagram.
Man, yeah, man.
Sorry, Telegram or Twitter.
And Simon is actually in our LGI group as well. He'll pop
And
in from time
yes,
to time. So
and
yeah,
you
man.
can just
Yeah,
add me
man.
in the group, and I'll be here.
Thanks a lot, Simon. Really, really good talking with you. And look forward to us hopefully talking again throughout the year. I will be tracking these companies throughout the year to see how they do. And of course, um, our watch list doesn't mean that they're gonna be on it all year. So that's why we have this every quarter. So we'll be having another one in 3 months and see if we're gonna update our picks or not. All right, Simon. Thanks again.
All right, take care, everyone.
All right, guys. So what I'm gonna do now, we actually have an interview that we recorded with Andrew Williams from RPL. So we're gonna take a small break and then go into that interview. It's about 15 to 20 minutes long, and we will close out the episode for today. So let's get right into that small break, and then we get to that interview.
Learning is the key to successful investing. And who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest. Learning is the key to successful investing. And who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest.
All right. So again, just want to remind everyone of our Market Money series starting next week. We're going to be including a lot of our short interviews that we have. When I checked, I have a lot of interviews that I have not released. I actually need to do a better job at that. And that's why we're creating the series. So to have an opportunity to have those interviews as a part of our weekly show. And then, of course, we're going to shorten the stock review format to just give you a more concise overview of the company with a similar format to our Stocks to Watch series. And then, of course, we'll start to cover more topics around the space to help to just introduce concepts to you that you may not commonly hear to help you to learn more as an investor. All right. So look out for Market Money starting next week. All right. Was there anything else that you could maybe want to highlight in terms of maybe the size of your team, any other milestones, opportunities that you saw for the landscape for 2023 that you'd want to highlight here?
Okay, well, with regards to our team, our management team, we as you know, we're a growing company, and we try to be efficient and effective. So we have taken additional, as we can see in our financial, we take an additional administrative staff, and we automate our service stations. So we try, as I said, we try to make it fully efficient. So we have engaged and employed and taken on all the modern and updated technology that is needed or that are used in today's model of a service station. So it's no longer a traditional station. If you come by any of our service station recently opened, you'll see that it's not a traditional service station. You know, it has significant highlights about it and how it's operated and how the general operations are carried out. So for our team, yes, we have taken on additional staff, additional administrative staff as we need, as we needed. And we will continue to do so as we expand.
All right, good stuff. So what would you say is your outlook for 2024? What are you most excited about, and what are the opportunities that you see for RPL as a company in 2024?
Okay, so Jeremy, for 2024 now, based on our experiences that we gained in 2023, this construction process of the service stations, it is quite costly. You know, you find yourself sometimes running into some overruns or expenditure on stuff that you didn't plan for. And I'm saying this, you know, and the relevance of this is that we have put in quite a bit of effort over the past year in these 3 service stations. We have not met our timelines as we expected to. And again, we had a number of obstacles that we overcome, but based on our experience, we have spent quite a bit, and we have not met our timelines. However, things are flowing as we expect, just not meeting the timelines, but we are coming close to the end now. As I said, we have opened 1 service station, we're opening 1 tomorrow for sales, and we'll have a general grand opening for that coming around shortly. That's for Negril. And the 3rd one in Kingston, which we started in August, will be completed. We are scheduled to be completed by the end of this first quarter. And as you can see, we're getting our stride now. What that means, we started the one in Kingston in August, and we're actually trying to complete it in less than a year. So you can see some improvements, you know, in how we are doing our construction process and so forth. So for 2024 now, we want to have these service stations opened and fully operational. And we want to experience, Jermaine, for the first 2 quarters, which would carry us into the 2nd or the 3rd quarter of this year. So having all 3 service stations fully operational and running. So we want to, my outlook for this, for the first 3 quarters of this year, would be to complete, after the first quarter, would have completed all service stations and have them operating in the 2nd quarter of this year. I want to have these service stations operating so we can experience these revenues, actual revenues now, not projected revenues, but revenues from these service stations. So at the end of the 2nd quarter, we can have our financials that will show full operation of 3 service stations, 3 full operating service stations, along with our head office, but 3 full service stations. And then we would want to also run it over to the 3rd quarter, because the 1st quarter would be the opening of the last one. So you would have a full, operation showing after all teething processes have gone through, you know, for the last service station in Kingston. So we'd experience the 1st quarter of recently opened service station for Kingston, not so recently opened for Negril, and almost going into the 3rd quarter for Paradise. We'll experience revenues from all these 3 service stations in the 2nd quarter. I hope I'm not losing you. So for the 2nd quarter this year, we should be experiencing, that is my hope, what we're looking forward to, experience these revenues, see what the profits are like, and continue our expansion process, because we plan to, as I said in previous interviews, the entire process of service stations is a long process to get approvals and to do the construction. Approvals primarily, it takes some time to do the approvals, to do it, put yourself together, get the drawings, the plans together, and to get them approved. So in the interim, yes, we are seeking out expansions on our service stations and the LPG also. We are seeking out currently. I don't want to say too much, but we have other prospects on the where we're seeking out currently, and it would be good if we could even begin one before the year ends. At least one more service station we're looking at to begin by year end. But I won't get any further into that. But for now, for the next first quarter, second and third quarter, our primary focus is to have these 3 completed and operating optimally, efficiently, and we will see what the profits are like, and then we know how we move on, because we have our shareholders to account to. We want to know, we want to experience these profits that we have been expecting, and we hope to exceed our targets. Definitely hope to exceed our targets on these, and then now from there we move forward to expansion, But in the process, at the same time, concurrently with what we're doing now, we are seeking to put things in place to expand and build out more service stations. That's for the service stations. For the LPG, we'll continue to have it growing organically, but based on our sales and so forth. We continue to invest in our cylinders, household cylinders. We continue to invest in our bulk sales, our customers. And I must say that we are a pioneering company, which I always say, and we have a number of things lined up for this year for our shareholders, our customers. We recently aligned ourselves with the JSC's loyalty program. So we are now on the JSC. I should have mentioned that earlier. We are now on the JSC's loyalty program. Where this is just a brief outline. It's a loyalty program app that for the JSC, that you download the app, and we are one of the members. And when you download the app and you go to any Regency location, you are entitled to various discounts, which are stated on the app for the convenience store and for the gas station. So all you need, and you don't need to be a shareholder or an investor on the stock exchange. The general public, it's open to the general public. And we're going to expound on that. We have our own personal in-house programs that we're putting in place. We're putting together a number of pioneering stuff for this industry. We're putting together some first world things now for our customers to benefit significantly from. It's geared towards our customers, our shareholders. I mean, the general Jamaican public. So we will have that launch. We will launch out with those programs shortly. We already started last year our taxi program, where we all taxis are entitled to a particular discount. We actually assign a particular dispenser or pump at the gas station for taxis. So we issued some taxi cards. So we should gain points from just the usual point system or the card system. So we started that for the taxis last year, because I mean, we all know that these taxis are on the road every day. They're the high volume users of petroleum. So and the critical stuff, especially in the school time, a lot of persons depend on them. So we have to try to see whatever contribution we can make towards our economy to help it to grow with all the economic challenges that we will have out there now. So this is one of the ways we try to aid in that and try to assist in our general economic growth by trying to have a win-win situation, which I always speak about. The taxes can benefit, and the company will also benefit from that. That's the taxi program. Now we have other programs out there now for the general public, for middle income earners, upper income earners, for the general Jamaican public, which will be coming out with, and these are geared towards benefiting the customers. And we'll be launching very soon. Very soon we'll be launching these programs. And these programs are pioneering programs for this service industry. So and as I said, with cooking gas, which is a necessity. petroleum, which is more businesses than petroleum affects every single thing. Petroleum cost affects the price of every single item because goods and services must be transported to the various points, and you have to, it is transported by automobiles or transport units that use fuel. So it all starts right there, so if we can make our impact on that, our contribution towards savings for the general public, we are right there, and the company will also benefit from that. We'll develop a loyalty basically with our customers, which is the Jamaican public. So we want the entire Jamaica to be loyal to Regency Petroleum because they're gaining benefits from it. And that's what we aim to do, not only for 2024, but that's our calling for that.
All right, thank you so much for that. So there was an article recently, or a report by the JSC, that we can expect maybe the next year or two of just maybe not the stock market having the same level of activity, or maybe it's maybe in somewhat of a lull, for lack of a better term. What would your sentiments be towards what RPL shareholders, RPL investors should expect? Just your message to them at the start of this year.
Okay, Jermaine. All right. My little experience with the stock exchange and with the stock markets in general, and this is stock markets in general now across the world. The stock market is it's an excellent investment for any investor. Now, if you're an investor, what you need to recognize and accept is that when you're investing on a stock market, whether in Jamaica or the United States or anywhere in the world, you have to have a mindset to know that this is a long-term investment. It's not a short-term investment. Now, you have bear markets, you have bull markets. So you have phases of which the stock market will go through. And that's just how it is. You have phases for various stock markets to go through. However, for any economy, a good indicator is of how the economy is doing, is how the stock market is doing. That is, and this is all my opinion now and what I've experienced. So in my opinion, we are in a time now where it's just a phase through. You have other alternatives for investors. The bank interest rates are all up, but all of these are variables. I mean, these will change over time, must change over time. It won't be forever. And history has shown it. I mean, you have times in the past, if you look on the stock market over the years of decades gone by, and it's all over the world, that's what Jamaica I'm talking about. You have bear markets, you have bull markets, you have a time when it goes through a period that we are going through now. But as I said previously, that the stock market is always, in my opinion, and it has proven itself to be an excellent means of investment for a long-term basis. Now, for a company with relation to its Regency on the stock market, now, it's very obvious that we are a growing company. In 1 year, we have basically put in 3 service stations, and we are aimed to grow. So we are a young company with a lot of room for growth. So it is an excellent time for investors or for our shareholders. Are exciting times for the company, regardless of whatever state the stock market is in currently. And the reason why I say so is because we are a growing company. So there's going to be a time when the stock market picks up back, because when all these alternative investment out there now with the banks, with the commercial banks, treasury bills, whatever out there now, when these change, because it will not be as how it is now forever. It will change, and not too long too. It will change. So when this changes and it catches our company in that growth stage, you will see that significant difference in, straight out, or even the stock price and with the stock market being booming once more, because it's no doubt the stock market will go back and will continue and will boom and hopefully in based on what I'm saying, Jamaica was in 2015 at #1 stock market in the world, and I'm sure that we will get back there, and in not too of a long time. I'm sure that we can get back up in that, top, say even top 5, top 3, stock markets. But currently, we are in our growth stage, and the company has a lot of room to grow. So our shareholders, I can tell you that you have a lot to experience, which is why I say that we want to have these three service stations completed and operating. So we're not only projecting figures, we're not only projecting revenues, projecting profits, but we're actually experiencing profits. So when we see our financials at the end of the June quarter, our financials at the end of the September quarter this year, you say, yes, the CEO wasn't just running off him out and say, boy, yeah, man, we're going to make profit, we're going to make a lot of money. No. But these are the financials. And that's what I want to stress. I don't want to speak as to say, boy, yes, man, we're going to make a lot of money in the third quarter, second quarter. I want us to actually experience it because I have all confidence in that. So I don't want to even speak too much of what they were, but I want us to experience these profits having these service stations being operated, and that's what we are looking forward to. We're looking forward to having these three services operated. And for the stock market, yes, in my opinion, I think we're going through just the phase that happens, over the years, So it happens in almost every industry. The real estate, it happens, in a lot of industries where you have a downtime and uptime for various reasons, and the stock market has proven itself over and over. So I would say, yes, it's just a phase we're entering now, and based on the investment opportunities otherwise, when these change, we'll see the effects of the stock market continued growth later on,
All right. So hopefully you enjoyed that interview with Andrew Williams. We're going to have an earnings call with them very soon, so you can hear more context from him about what their plans are for the year and how they would have closed out the previous year. Let us have a look at your stocks to watch for 2024. So it seems like there are 3 stocks that are kind of like in the lead here, Siboney, SOS, and Wigton. So I'm still going to leave the poll open for a little bit longer, maybe a couple of days. So remember to vote. I'm going to place the poll in the chat one more time. If you have not voted as yet, let us know, because the plan is to actually, for the companies that you think are going to be stocks to watch, we're going to try and cover them throughout the year, right? And that's why we want you to participate in the poll, so we know what companies you're interested in, so we know what companies to talk about here on our platform. All right. So I'm going to see if there are any questions. Michael Anthony, I'm not sure what was your original question. Let me know and I can answer it. I think you are saying you can't find TransJamaica. Just look for TransJamaican Highway. I can share a link in the chat right now to help you find it in terms of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So you typically want to look for instrument summary. So I'm going to find that and send that to you in the chat. And then you can see more information on the company if that's what you're looking for, right? So I'm not sure. Oh no. So Simon was only saying that he was a part of the original deal in his former job. He was a part of the deal that put TransJamaica, brought them to IPO. So he's not affiliated with the company now. He helped to be a part of the team that helped to bring the company to market a few years ago. That's what he was saying. So he's not affiliated with the company right now. All right. Okay. All right, cool. I just wanted to be sure that everything was clear. Yeah. So I want to thank you guys so much for being here, for being a part of the stocks to watch for 2024. Thanks to everybody who joined us over from Twitter, from LinkedIn, from Facebook, and of course our Telegram community. You're welcome to join us in our community groups. The community group is absolutely free. We talk about investing, we talk about real estate, we talk about the US market, and it's a safe space to just talk about the things that you're interested in as it relates to investing. All right, final call to action for our investment challenge. It's already started. Persons have already joined. We have our first monthly call next week, Saturday. So you still have a chance to join in and be a part of that challenge. The challenge is for persons who are struggling with investing, struggling with being consistent, need some guidance, some very specific guidance to help them invest. So for anyone who is like that, you're free to join. Of course, there are content that we will have exclusively for the challenge. So if you want to be a part of that, or at the very least, they'll get content first. So you want to be a part of that and benefit from that. All right. So thanks to Simon, our guest. Thanks to Andrew from RPL for the interview. Look out for our Market Money series next week, and I'll hope to see you in the very next video.
Learning is the key to successful investing, and who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N. Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at L.E.A.R.N. Grow Invest.